facing calls from Democrats to have her punished and even removed from paid off, with a number of them earning enormous returns on a stock that on January 3rd was only $17 per share. By Thursday, it had soared as high as $483 before finishing the week at $325 per share. The squeeze has also triggered massive losses for hedge funds that shorted the stock, capturing the attention of institutional investors, congressional officials, and really much of the country. So joining me now to discuss all this and how it all happened is New York Times technology reporter Taylor Lorenz. Taylor, thanks for joining us on this. Really appreciate it. So when this thing all went down, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm like, what is going on? Give me the cliff. Cliff Notes version of how this whole thing started.
Sure. Well, Wall Street Bets, which is basically a large community of millions of people on Reddit who are retail investors, that just means kind of day traders, got together. They found out that hedge funds had shorted, which basically means bet against GameStop. And they sort of initially, there was reason to think that perhaps the stock was been undervalued, but it kind of morphed into this massive campaign where they wanted to kind of teach these hedge funds a lesson and make the stock worth billions.
What does this say about the power of these these investors, really, right? These people that decide to do it on Reddit and their coalition?
Well, I think we're seeing the power of the internet here. I mean, I think we've seen the amount of change that can be enacted by big online mobs elsewhere in different sectors and different industries. And I think this is the first time that, a huge group of basically just investors from all walks of life are, using the internet to coordinate and sort of, affect the stock prices in the market in this way.
So I think it's interesting, right? Because we're hearing a lot about how these retail investors, they're too young, they're too greedy. But on CNBC earlier this week, it was essentially argued that a lot of these small investors are basically children of the financial crisis, right? They lost their homes, their parents lost their jobs. How much does that idea play into what took place with GameStop?
I think it's a huge part of it. I mean, these are kids that grew up, exactly what you said, feeling the effects of the recession. And a lot of them have begun trading stocks and getting involved in the stock market through Robinhood, which is a very easy to use app that tons of teenagers use to invest. And buy small shares of stocks. And I think that this is their way of kind of taking back the power. They have this pent up, frustration around inequality, which, by the way, has, boomed during their lifetime. There's huge wealth disparities. And I think a lot of the kids I interviewed were like, look, me getting $1,000, that would make a huge difference in my life. These hedge funds, they don't need another $1,000.
Yeah, a lot of these folks that made a heck of a lot more than $1,000. Let's be real here. That said, just quickly here, as I was talking to Ro Khanna a little bit earlier, I mentioned the fact that, we've known for quite some time what hedge funds have been doing, what big banks have been doing, and how they really operate, and the inequity in the banking business and in Wall Street in general. I mean, it's been known for quite some time. That's why politicians have campaigned on it. People have won elections over it. Why does it take something like this to get people to perk up?
I think because it's really finally to start it's really affecting the market. Like, Melvin had to take out this hedge fund had to basically, get in a big infusion of capital to handle this. I think it's actually, starting to really affect these people's bottom line. So yes, we've had populist movements and a lot of people have sort of talked about a lot of this stuff for a while, but it hasn't really, dug into these people's bottom line so much. And I don't think it, it's not like, this stunt is going to destroy the market or anything, but I do think it showed the power of what's possible. And you're already seeing, these groups online sort of targeting their next stocks and starting to say, okay, wow, it's like they got a, their first little taste of victory and now they want more.
Hey, Taylor, just quickly, the guy who started this thing, I know his handle involves the word kitty. Do you know where he stands now, his profits so far?
Roaring Kitty. Yeah, he was the one that essentially has been very long on GameStop. He's made this case for years that the stock is undervalued. I believe he went somewhere between 50,000 to 40 million or something like that. I'm not on the price, but he's made millions.
Taylor Lorenz, thank you. Thanks for breaking it down for us, giving the Cliff Notes version. Appreciate it, Taylor. The Run is up next, everybody, with This Week in Republican.